Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about EU5, the HRE specifically, and maybe, my future plans about EU5 and stuff like that I'm sure a lot of you guys are interested in. And here we are in the Tinto Maps number 12, Dev Diary Man, July 26th. It's been about a week or two since this dropped for you guys and for me as well. And even though I've checked out a few images of this on Twitter and in Discords and stuff like that, I haven't actually taken a look at the Dev Diary right here and give my full official response, as an EU4 and a future EU5 content creator. But here it is, man. Tinto Maps number 12, the HRE in all of its glory, man. This is the image that everyone in the community has been waiting for. They shared the maps of all of the regions pretty much in Europe, and yeah, this was sort of the final one to drop, and there it is in all its glory, man. And it's looking so good, man. First off, let me just say I love the colors, man. They really do pop a lot when they're next to each other and stuff like that. But yeah, this is it, man. This is the HRE, and as we can see right off the bat, it's way more detailed than an EU4. I don't think anyone expected anything less, man. But yeah, just analyzing some of the countries right here, and the size of some of these countries, man, it's actually so cool. Like the first thing that came up to me, is what's the smallest nation, right? I think Zlewik asked on Twitter, shout out my boy Zlewik, like what's the first HRE nation that you're gonna play? I replied to him, the smallest one. Whatever is the smallest one. So maybe these guys right here, right? Maybe this is like the smallest HRE nation right here, at least, going visually right here, area size. I'm sure there are maybe some weaker ones. This one right here is pretty tiny as well. This little purple one right here, for example, these guys up here. So yeah, there are some super tiny guys, man. There are other like small guys that I would say, like for example, these guys right here, pretty much all of them are small. Then we got like the medium guys, maybe Munster, Paderborn, Magdeburg, Lusatia. Then you got the, slightly bigger than medium, like Upper Bavaria, Lower Bavaria, Tyrol, Verona, for example, Trier, Luxembourg, Brabant, and whatnot. And then you got the big-ish guys like Brandenburg and Moravia and Austria. And then you got the big guy, which is Bohemia right here. But it's looking really nice, man. We can definitely tell subjects here as well. For example, Moravia and all of these tiny guys are subjects of Bohemia, but also Luxembourg, because the Luxembourg dynasty rules over here. So yeah, it's looking really good, man. It's looking really good, and I'm really excited to play in the HRE, man. And I'll touch on the first nation that I'm gonna probably play in EU5, and I think you guys can see it right here, man, because I think a lot of you guys know my plans for EU5 already, but we're gonna touch more on that after we wrap up this dev diary regarding what I'm gonna be doing in EU5. But with all that said, man, let's read a little bit of the text right here, go through the other map modes as well, and then we'll get into that. So, hello and welcome to another new Tinto Maps, blah, blah, blah. Today we'll be taking a look at Germany. It encompasses Czechia, Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein. But they forgot Luxembourg. So, they tried to mention everyone, but they did not. They did not. However, for most of the timeline, Project Caesar was mostly known as the HRE. The organization was once a feudal empire elevated from the kingdom of the Germans, but by 1337, it was mostly aggregated into a multiple of temporal and jurisdictions with only a tenuous feudal relationship with their emperor. So this is the country map mode right here. Now let's read the explainer a little bit, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm showing here a bit more of what the region is, so you can have a clear depiction of how it looks compared to the neighboring regions we've previously shown, and so that the Reddit guy who is patchworking the world map, shout out to that guy, by the way, I've seen those posts, has an easier day. What can I say about this when the map speaks for itself? The lands of Germany are highly fractured among different principalities, making for an extremely complex political situation. The emperor in 1337 was Louis IV von Wittelsbach of Upper Bavaria, because yes, Bavaria is also divided. So this is Bavaria right here, man, sort of the, the areas of Bavaria, whatever you want to call it, like it is in EU4. We got Upper Bavaria and Lower Bavaria, which, by their colors just looks like Munich and Landshut to me. But yeah, this is the emperor right here, man. This is the HRE emperor at the start of EU5. I think it's going to be very cool. And even though we don't know the mechanics yet, what I'm interested in seeing is how quick can you become the emperor as Austria? I guess we'll find out more about that later. But because yes, Bavaria is also divided. He was married to the Margaret of Avesnes, I don't know how you say that, daughter of Count William of Hainaut, which is right here, Holland, which is right here, and Zealand, which is this one. That should be Zealand, I think. Yeah. while his son Louis is the Margrave of Brandenburg right here, but probably the strongest power of the period is the Kingdom of Bohemia, whose King John is also Duke of Luxembourg and rules over both lands in a personal union. As we all know, personal unions will work differently in EU5, not like they are in EU4. So we'll see if this actually does bring more power to Bohemia, having Luxembourg as a subject. A junior partner type of subject, and rules over both lands in a personal union, while also being overlord of the Margravate of Moravia, which is right here, ruled by his son Charles, and the Silesian Principalities, which is all of these guys right here. The third contender is probably the Duchy of Austria, ruled by Albert II. He also rules over some lands in the formed duchies of Swabia and Carthinia, which is stuff over here, I think. There are also plenty of medium and small countries all over the region with very different forms of government, which will probably make this HRE a very replayable experience. And yes, that is something that I want. So after taking a look at this, after reading this, we know who the big boys are, the big hitters. Let's go into the dynastic map mode. Now, I think this is the dynasties, I think, are definitely going to play a bigger role in EU5 than they do in EU4, right? It's still pretty important in EU4 regarding personal unions and stuff like that, and certain achievements, and, the likability and how likely you guys are to ally and will marry each other in EU4, but I think it's going to be way, way more important in EU5. Of course, not as important as in Crusader Kings. This isn't a dynasty simulator. It's not that type of game, but I do think they are going to play a way bigger role. So I do think we do need to keep an eye out on this. The dynastic map of the HRE gives a nice picture of the situation explained in the previous one. The von Wittelsbachs, the Luxembourgs, John of Bohemia is considered French culture, therefore it uses the French toponymic article de Luxembourg, of course. If you would change to German culture, then it would be the von Luxembourg dynasty, and von Habsburg cover much of the map. You may note that the Wittelsbachs rule over 5 different countries: Upper Bavaria, Lower Bavaria, the Palatinate, which is sort of right here, of the Rhine, and Brandenburg right here, while the House of Luxembourg also controls the Archbishopric of Trier through Baldwin, uncle of King John. So Trier is right there, ladies and gentlemen. Other important dynasties, although in the secondary position, are the Welfen, von Mecklenburg, and the Griff, present in multiple countries to the north, the Ascanier, who happen to control the half of Upper Saxony, while the rest is in the hands of the von Wettens, the von Gortz, who rule over the Duchy of Tyrol and county of Gorizia, which should be right here. So yeah, a very interesting dynastic map mode, man. Some of these guys obviously will have like no dynasty, right? Because they're or maybe not really no dynasty, it's just whoever happens to be in charge. But there are many bishoprics, archbishoprics, other theocracies. We got the peasant republics in like Dithmarschen and Friesland and stuff like that. So yeah, very, very interesting scenarios right here, man. We got the Capets right here as well. And yeah, pretty dope looking map mode. It's interesting that the Piasts rule a lot of the Silesian principalities, and then we also got like the Shemshalids over here as well. So yeah, pretty interesting in a lot of regards. Now, going down into the HRE map mode itself, man, this is something we definitely want to take a look at right now. And honestly, I can't say I'm a fan of this too much, man, because a lot of things are like hard to see even for me. I can't imagine what this is like for someone that's colorblind. Maybe I don't really know how that works, but I'm assuming some of these things might look very similar right here. So yeah, obviously, we got the explainer down here of who everyone is. So here's the Imperial map mode again. Purple stripes indicate the Imperial territory. So everything that has these purple stripes is Imperial territory, but something I want to take a look at right off the bat is Imperial provinces or locations or whatever you want to call it that are not in the HRE. You guys know that there's a bunch of like Burgundian lands like that in U4, like the stuff that Denmark controls via Holstein, stuff down here that Venice owns and stuff like that. So the first thing I can notice is a couple of locations or a location here owned by Burgundy that's not in the HRE, right? It's an HRE province, but outside of an HRE country. Then a little bit of Flanders land right here, maybe a little bit of these guys, whoever this is. The names are really jumbled up, but this could be outside of the HRE. Then we have a little bit over here owned by Poland from the Silesian Principalities. Nothing over here, interestingly enough. And then maybe a little bit down here that's owned by Ferrara, right? Or maybe these guys down here as well. Yeah. Or maybe not. It's kind of hard to tell, but let's go back to reading. So, well, the different types of members use different colors. So we currently have these divisions in the IO. The IO is the international organization. So we got the Emperor, which is Upper Bavaria, dark blue. Prince electors for light blue. That would be Bohemia. That would be Brandenburg. This should be like, that's Saxony right there, right? I don't know who the brown guy is, but yeah, that one right there. And then who else? The Palatinate. So those are the 4 prince electors right there, familiar to us from EU4. And then we have the 3 archbishop electors, which should be Trier, Mainz, and Cologne. And you can see Trier, Mainz, and Cologne right there. So those are sort of the different type medium blue guys right there. So, you know, it's sort of ranked dark blue, light blue, medium blue, I don't know, but yeah, those are probably the most important guys right there, man. Then we also have the free imperial cities, which there's 23 of, and those are the light green guys. For example, we got Constance right here, you know, Donauwörth, I'm guessing, Dortmund, Bremen, Hamburg, you know, Lübeck and stuff like that. Those are the free cities right there. 23, a lot more than in EU5, in EU4, sorry. And then we also have imperial peasant republics. This is something a lot of people were super excited when they first got mentioned. So those are the orange guys. That would be Dithmarch and Frisia right here, the Frisian Freedom, as it's called in EU5. And then we got imperial prelates. Now that is something that I don't know what it is. So there's 44 of those guys, and let me actually research that. So yeah, I tried reading about imperial prelates, and I'm assuming I'm too stupid to understand it. So please, someone explain to me like I'm -7 years old. What are imperial prelates? Are they just like random guys that aren't monarchies or something like that? I don't know. And then we have regular members, 280 of them, which are dark green, which is, you know, pretty much everyone else. I don't think this is green, bruh, if I'm being honest. I don't know. Maybe it's my monitor settings, but yeah. So that makes for a total of 357 countries that are part of the Holy Roman Empire. And before you ask, no, we won't talk about its mechanics today. That'll happen in future Tinto talks. So let me just put a pause right there in this reading of the Dev Diary before we take a look at the rest of the maps. There are about 80-something members in EU4, which is still quite a lot, don't get me wrong. But 357, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And boys, I'm telling you right off the bat, I'm gonna try and play all of them. More on that later. Going down to the location map mode, I'm getting dizzy from this. Epilepsy warning, by the way. And yeah, man, detailed location maps right here, sort of zoom ins onto different regions. This is definitely like the most detailed region we're gonna see in EU5 probably ever. You know, it's even a little bit of a jarring transition, man, once you move to like Poland or to Hungary and stuff like that, because you know, they sort of don't, you know, like super tiny ones in the HRE, then slightly bigger ones and bigger ones and bigger ones. It's just like maybe an abrupt-ish transition, but you know, it's expected when you want to represent something so detailed. I think really this might be the initial reason why we have these like super tiny units of land locations, you know, in EU5. I think otherwise, if it wasn't for this, man, we might have just stuck with locations like it was in like EU4, you know, like or provinces, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'm really satisfied with this too. Like taking a look at the province map mode, man, I would have been happy with this, you know, if this was the small unit of land in EU5, because it's still like way more in than in EU4, or is it? I don't know if it is. I think it is. Yeah, it definitely is. But yeah, these are the areas, man. Weird-ish. I've mentioned a couple of times how I don't really like all the same colors next to each other and stuff like that, but I also do kind of like them rather than something like this. So I don't know, but yeah, this is the area map mode. Looking pretty nice as well. This is the terrain map mode, so nothing too much to comment on right here. The topography, the vegetation. I would expect some marshlands in the north, to be honest. But I guess that would be in topography, right? But then still, I would expect some marshes right here, right? Maybe not. Maybe I don't know enough. But yeah, this is the culture map mode right here. Something that's very interesting to me as well is like, and I read the England Dev Diary too, but how monolithic, like, for example, the English culture is when, for example, like, you know, German, it's expected, but French cultures are like pretty much as split as the German ones, where really it's all the same in England. I guess England was more monolithic than that. Than these guys during that time period, but it's still like weird to have, you know, some countries so homogenous, whereas other ones are like this, right? I don't think one cultures are going to be possible in EU5, man. Probably not even one faiths, if I'm being honest. Religion, nothing to take a look at too much right here. Raw materials, it's standard. These are the market. This one has been changed to Bruges once again, but yeah. Everything looking pretty dope right there. And this is the pop map mode. Obviously, Bohemia, Austria, and Brandenburg would have like the most population, and then some of the northern Italian guys right there. But that's it for the HRE, man. Looking very, very cool, if I do say so myself. I'm absolutely loving everything that we've taken a look at so far. Now, going back to what I was going to comment about, my EU5 stuff and what I plan to do with it, there's 357 nations only in the HRE. And as you guys know, man, if you're new here, by the way, if you don't know, I'm doing a series called A to Z, where I play every country, well, from A to Z, even though there's no countries that start with Z, at least on my list, in alphabetical order, that have unique national ideas. And let's go back even further. So when I was starting this, man, I was taking a look at the fact of, how can I play the most countries in EU5, right? Like, what's the way that I could do this that could sort of be structured? You guys would have lots of different stuff to watch. I would have lots of different stuff to play, so I don't get bored. And I got inspiration from the from I Sorrow Productions. He was doing sort of or maybe is still doing a thing like that in Hearts of Iron, man, and I didn't even know what that was. His videos always popped up for me, but I always thought it was like some sort of mod until I clicked on one of his videos, because I don't watch Hearts of Iron, I don't play it, nothing like that. And then I got the concept of it, and I was like, oh, that's fucking dope, man. I'm gonna use that same idea in EU4. Shout out, I Sorrow Productions. In hindsight, what I would have done is click the random button down here that's in EU4 and done it that way, but it's nice and it's structured like this. So then I went into the country list, which is right here on the EU4 wiki, man. And if you guys don't know, there's about 974 different tags in EU4. And I was like, okay, so playing 974 different nations, one-ish every week, it's gonna take me 974 weeks. Not really, sometimes it turns out that there's 2 a week and whatnot, and my schedule changes, but I was like, I'm never gonna get that done. So I tried to find a way of picking out the ones that would be boring, right? And I was like, okay, can I do everyone that has a mission tree? But then again, mission trees weren't so developed back then. Like, in what way could I do it? I was scrolling this list and I was like, okay, we're not playing these special game tags, so that's -3. We can't play formable nations. We could form them, through natural gameplay, but they're really not someone that should be on a list. So formables are out. Releasable nations, and by the way, that's where releasables comes in. Releasable nations are out, right? It doesn't matter. They're not on the map. And then there's like, revolter tags and stuff like that, right? Which is, or the East India Company, which isn't really a releasable and it's not really a formable either, but you can sort of play them, but not in 1444. We got weird ones like that, right? So let me try and find a revolter tag right there, like this, like Mycen, right? A super extremely rare tag that you can almost never get to show up, right? There's no way to realistically play these guys. So a lot of these guys, Etruria, one of the rarest tags once again, a lot of these guys hopped out. But then we were still left with about, with about 500, 600 nations left, right? Even with all of those guys removed. And then I got the national ideas idea right here, man. And that's how I decided which nations to play. The guys with unique national ideas, of which there are 417-ish. And this is the list that I use right there, man. The national ideas page on the U4 wiki for A to Z, for example. We started with Aachen, and we've arrived, by the time you're seeing this video, all the way to Sadia right here. That has been the latest one. Ryazan, I'm having trouble started. Most likely Saluzzo is going to be next. So these are all of the guys that I'm doing right here, man. The final nation looks like it's going to be Yaroslavl for now, because these guys right here, Yemen, I played their ideas as Aden. They're on the list as Aden as well. Yi doesn't exist. Yuan doesn't exist. Zaporozhye doesn't exist, Zealandia doesn't exist, Zimbabwe doesn't exist, Zulu doesn't exist. So I think we'll probably end it with Yaroslavl. But yeah, this is the list I'm using in A to Z in EU4. Now, going back to EU5, I'm going to play all of them. All of them. I'm going to find this list when EU5 comes out, and everyone that's not a special game tag, or not a formable, or not a releasable, I'm going to play. So this list, if it was EU5, it would start with, well, actually, we'd go in alphabetical order. So we'd do Aachen, Abenaki, Abhika, I don't know who that is, Asa, Akoma, Adal, Aden, Afghanistan, Ainu, Ayr, Ajam, Ajruan, then Albania, I guess, then Algonquin, Alodia, Altamaha, Amago, you get the point. I'm going to do all of them. Doesn't matter what type of unique identifier they have in EU5, whether it's, national ideas like it is in EU4, whether it's missions, whether, there's any flavor to them. I don't care if it's the most goddamn boring nation in the game. Like, for example, these guys. Who's that? Aredon Rodandan. Has anyone played them in EU5? If this in EU4, if this was EU5, I would play them. All of these guys right here, man. That's my plan for EU5 right now. Hopefully everything works out as it's supposed to. Hopefully the game is good. Hopefully you guys are still watching. Hopefully I'm not bored of it. But that is the current plan, man. To play literally every single country in EU5. That's a normal tag in the A to Z series. And then we're probably also going to do releasables in EU5 depending on how everything goes. So really what I'm getting at with this is, man, the amount of nations, right? In A to Z, my current show in EU4, there's about 400-ish nations, and in releasables there's about 100-ish nations. So really I think I'm already the person with the most different countries played in EU4 history. I'm gonna be honest, maybe I'm not. Maybe there's like a bunch of guys that, don't care about stuff like that and they're just playing everyone. But yeah, I think I'm definitely the person that has played the most countries in EU4, and I'm gonna be the person that's gonna play all countries in EU5 with similar-ish goals to A to Z in EU4. But what I'm really getting at right here, man, is the 357 member states of the HRE. I'm gonna play all of them, and it's 357 of them just in the HRE, right? How many is there around the world? There's about 900 in EU4. We're going back to that once again. Without releasables, without formables, there's probably about 700. So that's the HRE is still half of that, right? But then again, if we take a look at all of the maps globally, man, and stuff like that has been shown to us, there's so many big nations that exist elsewhere that I think the amount of countries in EU5, the total amount, I think is gonna be probably like maybe even similar to this, man. Maybe, not that similar, not 900, but I think it might be something like 1,400, 1,500. Even though EU5 is going to be so much more detailed than EU4, there's so many other countries that are present that are larger than certain nations, in EU4, or not larger. They own stuff that other countries would own in EU5, and some of these guys probably don't exist. We don't know how the New World will be represented. Will these guys be like actual playable guys or something like that? So I think the total number of countries won't be that different, man. And when we're chugging along with EU5 with the list in alphabetical order, if a new nation is introduced through an update, let's say Ahmedangar, let's say Ainu doesn't exist in EU5, but they're added to an update, and I'm already in season, like, I don't know, freaking F. Then we simply go back, play that nation in A, and then continue along with F. And that's really what I did a couple of times with this list, as well as updates were dropping. Nations were added right here, man, and I went back and played them. Now, interestingly enough, that's the only requirement for me to play a nation in A to Z, for them to be on this list. Congo, they do have unique national ideas, but they're not on the list, so I didn't play them. Diviet, same thing, man. They got unique national ideas-ish, but they're not on the list, so I'm not playing them. So really, that's the only requirement, man. If you want me to play someone in A to Z, just edit this list. Chances are I won't even notice, then I'll just play them. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to touch on, man. The HR right here, probably the best looking region we've seen so far. I love the colors. I love absolutely everything about it. And I just wanted to give you, my thoughts on this and stuff like that I want to be doing in EU5. And of course, let me know if you do want to see me do that in EU5, man. Do you want to see me play literally every single nation in EU5 that exists in 1337? And of course, as you all know, you already know the nation that I'm going to be starting off with, man. Right there, the nation that I also started off in EU4 with, and that's going to be Aachen. Why? Because it is it's always first. It's 2 A's in a row and then a C. So unless there's a nation in EU5 that starts with AAB, Aben or something like that, Aachen is going to be first, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully there'll be some Z letter nations to finish it off with that exists in 1337 in EU5, man. But yeah, super excited to jump in, man. I don't think we're too far away from this being announced as EU5. My current predictions are maybe September, October, November. It might officially be said that this is EU5, and then for the release date, man, honestly, I'm thinking fall 2025. Maybe that's a little wishful thinking. Maybe it might be 2026, but I'm hoping for fall 2025 is what I'm saying. So yeah, by that point, man, we're going to be wrapped up with A to Z in U4 for sure. There's only like season S and T that are big, and then, you know, we'll just blaze through W and Y, man. And let me know in which way you want to see me wrap up A to Z, man, because none of these guys exist in 1444. So really, it would just be A to Y, and we'll probably be wrapped up with releasables by then as well. So yeah, super exciting, man. Fantasizing about playing EU5 every single day. I hope it's good. I hope it's so good. You guys have no idea. Please don't let this flop, Lord. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like. It really helps out a lot. And if you like the content and want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of them. And you can become a member today and join the Discord. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another EU5 news video. Bye.